Good morning. It's about 10:50 here on a Sunday. Good afternoon, good evening to those that are in different time zones. Well, I spoke about talking about relationships and relationship dynamics. And today we're going to dive into that. Um, when you think relationship, what comes to mind? How you connect with people, how people might agree or disagree. How about the way that you might communicate in a relationship? Um, is it in a loving manner? Is it in a forceful manner? Is it in an desire to control the flow of information that is being brought to your attention? Remember, relationships are not just partnerships or intimate relationships. They're also colleagues. They're also um, new connections, building bridges, and who you surround yourself with. Um, Sometimes we surround ourselves with people that are like-minded in interests that we have. Sometimes we surround ourselves with people that are probably not in our best interest, but at some level they accept us or appreciate us, and we might not be getting that kind of um, vibration from either in the house, in the family, or the workplace, maybe in school. Um, Relation dynamics can be an area of growth. Um, how you see things, how other people might see things, how you experience people that observe from a subjective viewing versus an objective viewing. So I want to branch into that today, and in part of that, I want to talk about the five love languages. Um, you may go on the internet and research the what I'm talking about of five love languages. There's plenty of resources out there for you to do your due diligence. Um, but don't just get wrapped up in the word usage and content as reading it verbatim and seeing it as words on a piece of paper. It's so much more than that. Okay. Remember, we see things from an energetic, a vibratory, and a frequency level. Okay. That's how we shift into higher consciousness. All right. The first of the five love languages is act of service or act of servitude. How you present yourself in a loving, compassionate way, rendering a form of service to someone else. You might even have a form of service for yourself. Now, these love languages are not just geared towards um, those who are most receptive, although it might be defined as people feel most loved as receiving these type of languages, but it's also how you treat yourself. It's also how you love yourself, um, and how you might expect others to love you or show acts of love. Um, Act of servitude is choosing to do something for someone else for a greater value that is within them and to help them bring out a greater aspect or potential. It's also an appreciative status. So, like, you might do a house chore, you might clean up the yard, you might go to the store for shopping in place of someone that might do it continuously. Um, you might have a lending ear. Uh, Someone might come to you and say, "Hey, I could just use a friend right now. I got a lot going on. and I've been speaking at the wall, and the wall's not kind of helping me too much. I wonder if I could use your ear a little bit. That's where you open yourself up to the opportunity of being in a act of service towards that person. You're not rendering judgment, you're not blaming, you're not giving guilt. You're just opening yourself up to be an unbiased person, receiving their input and providing an opportunity of an outlet. Another one is gift giving. We give in many, many ways. Some of the ways we're not even realizing that we are gifting in our energy, in our vibration, in our frequency, how we carry ourselves, in our body language, how we speak, how we see something, and register that into our processing. Gift giving doesn't just have to be physical item, like taking a pen and giving it to that person as a gift. It can also be a gift of your words, a gift of encouragement, a gift of compassion, a gift of love, a gift of comfort. Maybe providing them a gift of serenity. When you come to calm, drop into neutrality, and you send energy their way of a calm, still mind. They receive that signature. Okay? Physicality, a third love language. Sometimes this is met with physical touch, physical presence, um, physical body language, physical expressions. You might be saying more than what you actually think that you are saying. And if a person is picking up that level of energy and vibration and frequency of your language and physicality, they may be in a state of defense because how you are eliciting yourself might be in a way that is uncomfortable for them. It's not a subject matter for fault. It's helping you become aware of how you present yourself. Okay. Words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is you sending a note, sending a text, connecting with them across distances. If you have a cell phone, you can do that. Maybe maybe combine it with gift giving and send a bouquet of roses or flowers of the person, the recipient's like, an arrangement of flowers, and have a little note card that has a word of affirmation. Kind gesture. Quality time. Maybe the person is wanting more of your presence. And I don't mean just being at home, but actually engaged in the moment. Present. You can physically be present and your mind be elsewhere. Your emotions be elsewhere. Your state when you are in the presence of those that are desiring that gift of time may be picking up that you are elsewhere. Maybe you have stuff to work through. That is completely okay. And understanding that quality time and time for yourself are both mutually healthy. But let's talk about healthy likes and dislikes. Okay? Healthy likes is the things that you mutually agree with your partner, colleague, new connections, school friends, circle of influence, social circles. You have like-mindedness. So you have things that you like together. And then you group together and it builds and builds and builds the energy of that likeness. And you start getting experiences of those likenesses. Maybe you like to go for nature walks. Maybe you like to be adventurous and discover new things. Maybe you have a mechanical aptitude or a green thumb. uh, maybe you don't have a green thumb, but you like plants and you like soil. You like how they grow, you like how they smell, but might not have the aptitude. But your partner might have the aptitude to present the capacity for you to have a bunch of flowers all over the place. And that's just one defining aspect of it, okay? Uh, Dislikes. Healthy dislikes. When you don't like something, this is saying that you might not gear into watching so much TV as the other person might be geared into watching TV. So you might have a dislike of how much time is spent in front of a TV, and choose to read a book. Maybe go for a walk. Maybe do a puzzle. we Sometimes we will have TV in the background, but really we're engaged in a puzzle. Um, Maybe you have a dislike of how something occurs. Maybe you have a dislike of food or style. These are healthy dislikes until you render a judgment or biased opinion. When you remain calm, neutral, and in a healthy mindset, understand that dislikes are a good thing, because if you had all the likes, there would be no potentiality for you to grow, to mature, and bring out your unique talent and gifts. Express in a healthy, loving manner. Discover mutual likes between you and whomever it might be. Maybe it's children that you relate to. Maybe you're a teacher and you have students. Maybe you are in an intimate relationship, or you're in a work setting and you have colleagues around you. Discover the mutual likes. Okay? Celebrate having dislikes, because now that's where collaboration comes from. And you bring your skills and they bring their skills, and you work together and you find a common ground of healthiness. Okay? Again, this is not one shoe fits all, but it works in every vendor and aspect of your life experience. Every meaningful connection, every connection that you interact with. Healthy communication. When I say communication, I'm not saying that you just talk. I am not one for small talk. I very much like, if there is communication, I like the in-depthness of the communication, but I don't like the unnecessary details of the communication, because I don't want my thought field to form an biased opinion of what you are sharing with me. So I don't need the whys, I don't need the details, but communicate. Very simple. You just communicate what's on your mind, they communicate what's on their mind, and you have a conversation. When you try to control or you try to shape the person to start talking in a capacity of which you are most receptive to, you might end up getting a different identity to pop out, because they're now donning the persona and social mask and the body language, the facial expressions, the speech patterns to fit that paradigm that you are expecting. And you might get more than what you expected. But healthy communication. This isn't you arguing to see who's right and wrong. Remember, there is no right and wrong. Communication is bringing something to your awareness, okay? How you choose to respond to that will have ripple effects. um, Boundaries and respect for self-time. Healthy boundaries is necessary, where you set aside certain time for yourself. Whether it's to work on yourself, whether it's to do meditation, whether it's to um, just have time and stillness and silence. Respecting that time is a necessary asset, because that person who's working on themselves is bringing out a greater potential of themselves into the relationship. And it's going to feel a little different. It's going to feel a little shaky, because it's not going to elicit the same pattern and behaviors that you might have been um, used to, or a sense of familiarity. um, but boundaries and respect for self-time is a necessary asset in a relationship, in all of its dynamic facets. Okay. Um, the art of letting go. When I'm saying letting go, I'm not saying you're letting go of the person because there's a conflict or a disagreeable thing. All right. And I understand that when things are compounding, it becomes overwhelming because you are seeing it from a subjective view rather than an objective view. You may actually end up taking a decision to remove yourself out of the situation altogether, thinking it's going to solve the problem, and instead it's going to bury it into your file cabinet, and it's going to repop up again in every relationship that you form. And even when you're not in a relationship, it's going to pop out to your awareness for you to address, express, and release. um, Letting go of the attachments of expectation. When you are expecting something, you are attached to the expectation. So when you make a plan, and a plan is completely mapped out, and it doesn't go according to plan, don't form an attachment to the expectation that a plan will go off without a hitch, okay? But be open to the opportunity or circumstance that comes into your life, because that challenge is a potential for growth. You grow through the dirt. But we attach to energy, we attach to mentals, we attach to physiologicals, we attach to vibrations that you are at, the resonance of what we like and dislike. um, but you are trying to sift through your file cabinet of all your identities, all your labels, all your brandings, all your experiences, and trying to send love to those experiences and work through them in a positive and healthy and loving manner. Show compassion to your younger self, and we'll jump into that in just a moment. People, animals, and plants. Everything with a life force energy. You can talk to people, and you can talk to plants, and you can talk to animals. The energy that you are sending out will either assist the plant to grow in harmony, or it can help, or it can shrivel up the plant. Same thing with a person. They can grow in harmony, or they can shrivel up, become insecure, and drop down into the root system and build an identity of insecurity. And that insecurity is something they have to work through and find a way of expressing it and releasing it, okay? In a kind and gentle manner. Animals, they love attention. They love coming around you, dogs, cats, ferrets, gerbils, guinea pigs, even wild animals, deer, birds. Um, you might have insects like butterflies and moths and bees and ants. They're all living creatures. They're all life force creatures that pick up your energy. Um, we tend to release out of us, and that is the thing that actually draws the mosquitoes to us. um, so you might have some like off spray or something like that to kind of combat with that. But me, I could be out in nature and I won't have any mosquitoes come get me. But if I'm with like my partner or some other people, the mosquitoes will go to them because I'm just not bothered by mosquitoes. um, but loving in a harmonious way, speaking, expressing, giving, providing quality time and servitude in the capacity of which they are most receptive. If you communicate with them and ask them what makes you have the feeling of being loved, they will give you the answer of how they feel most loved. If you are trying to give them an aspect of one of the love languages that does not resonate with them, they will see it as a negative aspect, unfortunately, only because of the attributed attachment to that. Um, so you are working on what the person feels most loved with, rather than what you think you should give of those languages. But let's focus in on letting go, letting go of the expectations, letting go of people pleasing, letting go of the identities or judgments or biased opinions about circumstances, people, places, things, because they will keep popping up until you go through it, express it, and release it. Releasing is also equal to letting it go. Let's recap. When you let things go, you are not letting things go at somebody. You're just letting them go out of you. Um, when you are speaking to someone and you are expressing your sincerity of something that might be troubling, remember when you are speaking about the situation and how it's resonating with you. You are not telling the person that they are the catalyst for the way that you are feeling. They're just a mirror of what is already in you, and it's coming out, and they are reflecting it to you so that you become aware of it. Sometimes they're not even aware that they are doing that, but it is to help you grow, transform your life. Remember, if you want to make a change out there, you have to make a change within. Whether it's your mind field, your emotional field, your physiological field, your energetic field. Change is not a bad thing. Change can be uncertainty, unknown, but it's in the unknown, in the dark of not knowing, that you grow the greatest. When you know, you don't grow no more because you know that thing. Knowing something and having the knowing of something are two separate things, okay? Um, but how are you building your relation dynamics? How are you forming your relationships, your connections? Are you trying to create meaningful connections? Are you just trying to make connections to have a sense of someone being there so it curbs the symptoms or the feelings or ideas of loneliness? When you put it out there in the world and you ask and it is given, and you're asking for someone to come into your life to be a part of your life, are you getting specific? Or are you just asking for someone to come into your life that will complement you? Because you will get what you ask, and you're probably also going to get what they are carrying in them. So don't hold it against them. Love them compassionately. Help them work through their stuff. Even if you're not saying a word, your body language, your expressions will say plenty for them to become aware of what's going on. Consciousness, subconsciousness, unconsciousness. We touched on those previously, but I want to touch on super consciousness. Super consciousness is when you shift higher in dimension of thought and area of expansion of thought, and you start processing things at a higher flow of information. So remember, you can project upward, you can project outward, right? Most of the time you're not projecting behind you, but if there's a reason that you are, I'm pretty sure it's a necessary component of whom you are and your core essence. It's possibly releasing when you are not consciously aware of it, and it has to get out of you so that you can sustain in life. Relationships can be tricky, or they can be your greatest asset. Remember, don't treat relationships as a controlling aspect. No one wants to be controlled in a relationship. And even if you're not saying, I am controlling you, if you are telling the person that they have to perform a certain way, you are controlling their free will. Let them come back around, come to center, come to calm, neutrality, and then discuss. Okay? And you might have areas to work on. They might have areas to work on too. Remember, you are always working on yourself and assisting others in a loving manner. Not in a forceful manner, in a loving, compassionate manner. Trust your inner self. Don't trust your ego self that tries to judge and gives you biased opinions and tells you why something works and why something won't work, etc., etc. Remember, don't get stuck in the why, because ego is all about the why and how things work. We're shutting the ego down. We're going into discern into the veil of the truth. Cool? But relationship dynamics. How are you treating relationships? How do you want to see relationships? Is it a art of war? Is it an art of love? Is it an art of conflict or an art of compassion? Is it rendering judgments on how a person has lived their life up to a certain capacity? Or is it an openness to see beyond what is just being displayed? Remember, programming, we can become programmed by the things that is being sent to us, and if we are not using an open objective viewing, we might get sucked in the middle and only see the front of the story and not see the whole story. Okay. If you are rendering judgment off of a story that you are seeing, it means that it is showing you a potential that is within you that may need addressing, working on, expressing, and releasing. Okay? This is not you sharing with other people of your limited belief and your ideas of why someone should behave a different way. Okay? That is rendering judgment. And same thing with phone. If somebody has a cell phone and you have their number and you're trying to connect with them, and they're not connecting with you at the time, trust their boundaries. Trust that there's a purpose for that breaking communication in a positive manner. Otherwise, you're going to draw a negative occurrence because you're thinking in a negative way. And like attracts to like. And you're going to get either a positive occurrence or you're going to get a negative occurrence, depending on what state of mind you are in when you're thinking about that person and why they might not be responding to you, or etc., etc. People do not have to respond to you in the time format that you are expecting. Remain open and they will respond to you. Assuming that someone's doing something because they're not responding to you is not healthy for you, and you're casting that judgment on them even if they are not aware of it. Yeah, you're sending that energy out. And remember, karma, what you send out, will come back to you. How you judge, the same method will come back to you and be judged upon you. Okay? Be compassionate in the way that you observe things, in relationships and the dynamics of connectivities. Work in your relationship. Build up meaningfulness in your relationship. Have an open discussion and communication where neither one is trying to say what is right and wrong, but rather bring the awareness of a dislike or a like. Okay? I love you. Go make some meaningful connections that support your growth. Okay? Be well, be well, be well.